Hi, my name's Steve Worley. We're the owner of Worley Bugger Fly Company, editor of GuideChronicles.com. Today I'm going to show you how to tie the snowshoe March+Brown+Emerger that we fish on the Yakima during the big March Brown hatches in April and May. Relatively pretty simple fly to tie, but very, very effective. So you start off with a Dairiki 125 emerger hook. Place it in the jaws of your vise. It's a great 2x strong hook, offset. Very, very strong, very sharp. A great mayfly hook. A few different basic materials that you're going to need to tie this fly. I use a 6/0 camel thread by Uni. Any good brown thread would work great for you. You're going to need some thin fly foam, some light brown Antron crinkled yarn, and some rubber legs, and some brown dubbing. So you start off just behind the eye of your fly and build a thread base. Build that back across the shank all the way to the bend. Once you get to the bend, just stop, trim off your excess. It's always good to build a thread base on your shank of your hook. Way your materials stand a better chance of staying together in your fly. You build a much better fly. So the first thing that you're going to need is some light brown crinkled Antron. We use this as the shuck. So work your fingers through the Antron. You don't need a whole lot. Proportions are always majorly important in your fly tying, so with this particular item we want to make sure that the nymphal shuck is the length of the shank of the hook. So lay your Antron yarn along the shank of the hook to get a good measurement. Take it, lay it at the base, at the back of your thread, make a couple of thread wraps, lock it in place. Trim off your excess. Lay a couple of more thread bases down just to lock it into place where you want it. Make sure that it's secure. If it's a little bit too long, you can always trim it back just a little bit. So your next items are going to be, I use a Nature Spirit Wild Turkey Goose Biot. And they're nice because they're big and they're pretty easy to work with when you want to make a biot body. So take and lay the tip of your biot across your shank of your fly. Make a few thread wraps and lock that into place. Wrap your thread about 3/4 of the way up the shank of the hook. Take your hackle pliers and hook onto the end. And for people that are using their rotary vise, it's kind of a nice feature, is you can just twist the head of your rotary vise forward and you get that nice biot shape to your fly. Once you've worked it forward, just wrap your thread over the biot a couple of times. Secure it in place. They're kind of fragile, so sometimes it can take a few wraps. And even if you bust it, it's not a big deal. You can just start over and wrap a new one on there. Secure it down with a few thread wraps in place. and work your thread back to the base where you stopped. You can see that it's, by wrapping that buyout, it's made a nice segmented look to your fly already. A lot like the naturals. So we want the total effect that we want for this fly is we want it to fish in the film just above the meniscus. So we're going to add a piece of foam, real thin, that is going to look like the extension of the mayfly's body to the fish. So what I do is I just cut a real thin piece of brown foam. I like to kind of trim the ends. You can make it rounded. I usually just make it kind of diamond shaped. And once again, proportions are always important, especially in mayfly hatches. Take and measure length of the shank of your hook that you're tying on. Once you have that proportion right, lay it on top of the shank, make a few thread wraps, real light, secure it in place, pull down tight, make a couple more. Okay. Next we're going to tie in a pair of rubber legs. The thing about rubber legs is a pretty common item in fly tying now, but for the March Browns especially, they're a fly that they're an insect that, you know, once they hatch, you know, they really use their legs to push up off the top of the water. So this will kind of help create that profile of the legs. So you take a brown variegated speckled leg by Montana Fly Company. Lay it on the top, real easy to tie in, double it back against each other, making a loop. Lay it on the top of the shank. Make a couple thread wraps over the top, real light, so you get this effect. And then take and cut your loop. Instant rubber legs. And then next, you just pull them down around the shank until you have them in place where you like them. And you don't have to worry about it if they're a little bit long, because you can always adjust that at any time after your fly is complete. Once you have them in place where you like them, make a few more tight thread wraps. Rubber legs always seem to kind of bunch up and do different things when you lay them tight. You can see these ones look pretty good, or these ones are all kind of funky. But that's an easy fix once you apply your dubbing. And you'll get once you apply your dubbing, then you'll get the look that you want from your rubber leg. So the next item that I apply is it's a custom dubbing that you won't find, or that I make for a lot of my flies that I tie. It's a snowshoe rabbit dubbing. So snowshoe rabbit is a very coarse material, really repels water very well. It's a great dubbing when it's mixed with other materials. So I'll actually take this, dye it the appropriate color that I like, and then I'll add an ice wing fiber, which has a lot of UV and holographic to it. So yeah, you get great flotation out of it, plus you also get the air bubble effect as well. So once you have that in place, you can take and apply a little bit to your thread. And if you're not familiar with the Mark Pettigian bobbin, probably one of the greatest tools that we've seen in a number of years come across the fly tying world. So for guys that really love to use dubbing loops, apply your thread to the bobbin, to the thread on your bobbin. Double your finger back lay your thread down across the thorax. Bring the bobbin down, hook it into the dubbing loop that's incorporated in the bobbin. Spin, instant dubbing loop. You can see what it does to your dubbing. Makes it real buggy, makes it real strong. So here too, if you're using a rotary vise, is where the bobbin really is nice too, with the dubbing loop tool. Spread the legs and begin winding it around. Gotta watch your rubber legs stay out of the way. Make a couple of wraps on top there, and then pull your rubber legs back and the foam, and then make a few wraps of dubbing, creating your thorax effect. Okay, and once you do that, you can see with the March+Brown bobbin that you have a V here that was created through your dubbing loop. So what you do is you just stick your scissors in here and cut that. And if you'd like to see more about the March+Brown bobbin, you can check out Nate's video on the website, worthybuggerflycompany.com. It's a fantastic item. So once you've cut that out, you just pull that thread that you cut up out of the way. Real simple. Make a few thread wraps at the base of your eye. Pull your thread down. Now you can kind of manipulate your legs a little bit too. Get them where you want them. A lot of times too, what I'll do with this fly, you're going to see this version of the fly in the new April issue of Guide Chronicles. I'll tie this fly as an emerger that sits in the surface film, and I'll also tie it incorporating a grizzly hackle, brown usually, if you want to, into the thorax as well. You can add it, and what that'll do is make it ride a little bit higher in the surface film. So without the hackle on it, you just pull your foam forward, pull your legs back so you don't end up getting those tied down, and then just make a few wraps behind your eye, securing and then just lash your foam right to behind the eye. Once you've done that, then you can take and trim that out. Try and get it real close so you don't crowd that eye. You have a hard time getting that 5X in there. And then just take and make a few thread wraps, binding it down. And then I just like to do a quick little half hitch. Once I've done a couple of those, cut my thread off. Here's where you can really just adjust your rubber legs however you like. They're a little long, you can trim them back. Always trim a little bit at a time until you get the desired look that you like. Make sure they're even. There you go. So there's your Yakima River March+Brown Snowshoe Emerger. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us about this fly or anything else. We'd be happy to help you, and look forward to seeing you out on the river.